Welcome to another episode of Do It Yourself, brought to you by yours truly, Ron King from The Ultimate DIYer. Today we're going to install a TOTO Bidet so that can keep you extremely clean. This is the washlet system, and we're going to be placing it on an elongated toilet. This thing has a ton of options, included heated seat, pre-washes, periodically turns itself on and washes and cleans itself, adjustments. It has a remote control that is two-sided with controls on both sides, and then it has swipe controls on the top of it to help adjust the pressure. It's a pretty interesting unit, and it also comes with a huge manual. It's almost a textbook size manual. You will also find a water splitter so that you can split the water and send it up to your seat. That square bracket looking thing is what actually will mount to the toilet, which will hold the seat in place. Here's the fancy remote that I was talking about, and you will notice it has controls on both sides and even the top. It has a bracket that you will mount it to the wall, where a lot of your units normally have a control panel that attaches to the side of the seat. This will attach on the wall. Makes it kind of nice, but you do have to be careful that you don't lose the remote. It did take me a few minutes here to try to figure out exactly how this thing was going to go on the wall, and there is a wall plate that goes beside it that gives you the descriptions of the buttons a little bit larger, so it's easier to control when you're doing your business. You're simply going to shut off your water at the water valve, and you're going to unscrew the top like I'm doing here. So once you have the line removed and out of the way, all you have to do is attach your adapter. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, just like a water hose. Now all you have to do is hook your original line back up to the bottom of the adapter, and it hooks up the exact same way, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So now you just remove your old seat and place the bidet in its place. Now you're going to find that the seat is attached with these rubber grommets, and I'm over putting water on them in the sink right now to make it easier for them to go into the porcelain holes. So the mounting bracket itself has two little adjustable brackets inside of it, one on the right and one on the left. You'll use a tape measure to figure out how far back you need to set it depending on what type of a bowl you have, whether it's elongated or whether it's round. Now it's very important here to make sure that the bolts are tightened down nice and tight into the rubber grommets. If not, the whole seat will end up moving around every time someone sets down on it. Now you can unclip the seat, pull it back out, and tighten it a little bit more. And I'll show you in a second where that little adjustment rod is at so that you can get the seat off. Now just like everything else with a toilet, you will tighten on the right and then tighten on the left, and you go back and forth until you have everything nice and snug. Don't over tighten on one side first, or you'll make the unit not set correctly. Now the lever that you use to either place the unit or remove it is on the right hand side. I'm pushing it right now, and you'll see the little metal clips moving that locks it into place. So all you do is push the lever in and slide the unit back until you hear it click. So once the seat is mounted, it's time to go ahead and hook up the water line from the seat to your three-way. And that goes on exactly like your other two connections, and it's just finger tight. So now I'm going to run an extension cord over to the other side of the room just to test the unit, make sure everything's working right before we start cutting and installing the new power outlet. So after powering up the unit, I did not expect the little wand to come shooting out and start spraying water. So if you notice my face here, I honestly thought I was about to get sprayed right in the face. So after plugging it in, it does have some cool features like a night light. It adjusts and cleans automatically, and the seat will rise up all on its own. But if you're going to be working a whole bunch in the room, I'd suggest just unplugging it, because that becomes a little bit annoying as you're trying to work. At this point, I tried to go ahead and figure out through the manual how the thing worked, but I ended up giving up and letting the customer figure that out. The customer kept asking me if I was going to try the unit out, but I just kind of thought it'd be a little awkward with him on the other side of the door asking me questions like, how do you like it? The new receptacle will be connected to a ground fault receptacle on the other side of the wall. I don't do a lot of filming on connecting that up because the mirrors that surround that whole area of the bathroom make it really hard to film. So now I'm going to get ready to cut a hole into the wall. So the first thing you want to do is cover up the toilet and make sure that you don't get dust and dirt everywhere that you don't want it. The dirtier you get things, the more cleanup you have to do later. Now, some of the tricky parts of this wall is figuring out exactly where the studs are. You'll see me in a few minutes try to use a stud finder to figure out exactly where the studs are, but you cannot put the box directly behind the box on the other side of the wall. There's not enough room, obviously. So you're going to want to try to get that box next to it as close as possible. And the box that I'm going to use is going to have the little wing nuts on it that come open and hold the box in place against the back of the drywall. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is a wallpapered wall, so it took a lot of time measuring back and forth and making sure that I did not cut a hole where I didn't need it. If it was regular sheetrock, I could always repair it if I made a mistake, but this would not be an easy repair if I did. I would end up re-wallpapering the entire room to make it look right, especially if you can't find that wallpaper any longer. Now I like to use the actual box itself to draw an outline once I find the spot that I want it. So I'll hold it in place and I'll draw around it, trace it, and then I'll come back with my multi-tool and I'll cut. Hold your vac up close to where you're going to be cutting. It really helps if you have a helper here, but 99% of the time I'm working alone. So I just hold the vac up close, start making the cuts, and let the dust fall or get sucked into the vacuum cleaner. So once I get the hole cut out, I can actually see the blue box to the left of the hole that is for the other outlet. That's where I'm going to run a wire to actually connect the two of them together. Now this is the only wire in this box, so I left a good 8 to 12 inches of wire for future so that it can always be reused again and you don't have a problem. If you have that ability, you should always leave a little extra wire. So now just tighten up the screw on each side of the box. That'll actually swing the little wing nuts out that'll hold the box up against the sheetrock. So I will now strip back a little bit of the wire just so it can wrap around the nuts that are on the receptacle. I do not like to use the push-in holes that are in the back of some of these receptacles. I believe that they get loose and can start a fire. Now I will use a Wago type plug because it's a whole different animal. I do like those, and I do have a video on those as well, so you might want to look for that. I'm using just a basic Leviton plug, and they will come in a 15 or a 20 amp model. This one is just a 15. One of the things that I like to do when I put in a plug or any kind of an outlet or a switch is I will pre-bend my wire. And I like to get the wire all the way around the screw, and then I'll use the needle nose and I'll pull it really tight. So that way that plug will have a very hard time breaking away from that wire. So if somebody leaves something plugged into it and they try to yank it out of the wall, it's not going to disconnect from that wire very easily. It would pretty much have to break the wire itself. Now I'm using an impact gun here to start the screw, get it down where it's snug, and then I use a screwdriver to tighten it all the way down tight. Now if you use an impact gun and you really crank down on it, you're liable to break your connection. So if you're not used to it, I would suggest just staying with a screwdriver, and that way you don't have a problem. You can use your screw gun or a screwdriver to mount the receptacle into the box. It's pretty simple, just 2 little screws, and you'll use a straight edge screwdriver to mount the plate. Be careful, don't over tighten the plate or it'll crack the plate. They're pretty flimsy unless you buy a heavy duty one. Now I went ahead and mounted the remote without giving you a lot of video on it. It's pretty simple, just drilled a hole, put a couple of little anchors in and mounted it. You'll see the plate beside it, which actually gives the titles to everything that you're doing, so you can just reach over and touch it. That remote does pull out of there, and it has a whole nother set of controls on the other side and even the top. But once that's done, I just plugged it in and really the unit's ready to go, and I turned it over to the customer. So this is an awesome system, but it is a little bit pricey. You're going to get hit for about $1,300 to $1,500 if you want to buy one of these. So anyway, if you guys got anything out of today's video, be sure you subscribe. Be sure you leave me a comment. I love to read those. And be sure you hit that little bell ring notification so that you know about all of the upcoming videos as I release them. So it's been a pleasure. I will see you next time.